Hello and welcome to another episode of Intune.Training, the place to learn how to use Microsoft Intune. The Steve and Adam and Ben show. What's up, boys?
Hello.
Hello.
You ready to do some cool things?
We are ready to do some cool things. I'm just gonna run real fast forward into this one because I love a I love a quick and dirty video. Okay, so
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, but you're gonna let me type again. So
yeah, you're gonna
it's
drive.
go
so
slow.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
we all know how good you are at typing. Okay, now I want to say last week we did a video where we sort of dove into the myriad ways that you could enroll a device to Autopilot. Using commandlets, going into F10 into an out-of-box experience device and grabbing the hardware hash, or just using the offline JSON file and all that sort of fun stuff. What I was talking about then was that I have a solution that Adam helped out with, actually, and Steve also helped out with,
and Bruce,
and Steve and Bruce.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. We've sort of all collaborated on
Thanks,
this.
Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
hey, Bruce.
What we've called this the Intune.HV.Tools, or Hyper-ConvertImage. And what this module is a way that we can rapidly scale up.
Oh, we also helped with the name.
We did. You did. As well as another sub module that we needed that we can talk about as well.
That's all I did was the naming.
Yeah,
My
exactly.
marketing there.
Yeah,
You did a stellar job with that.
Oh my god. Okay,
Just
so
get to it, Ben. Just do
all
it.
right. So the module allows us to build as many virtual machines that will be ready to enroll into our Autopilot environment or into our Intune environment as we want. We can do from 1 up to, I believe I set a hard limit of 999 because, why not?
I'm surprised you didn't pick another random number than 999. I'm a little bit disappointed for you, Ben.
Yeah.
42 even would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 69. Yeah. All right.
66.
Exactly. Bill and Ted's coming out soon. I'm very excited about it. All right. So what we're going to do, we'll put some links to where you can get the module and you can play around with it yourself. What we're going to do is get Adam to drive and set up the environment and actually use the module and see if we can break it. It's been out for a little while now, and it's actually got close to 100 downloads, which is kind of cool. The sub module that we created, the what was it? What did you call it? Hyper-convert. The other one has got well over 100, which is awesome. So that's exciting.
Oh, that's right, because we made another one.
We did. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But okay, so this is Adam driving and me trying to tell him where to go.
Here we go. I've got the first 3 commands though, so I think
that's exciting. All right.
I have technically already run the install module, so you don't get to see that in its glory.
Yeah,
but,
awesome. So the first important thing here is that the tool needs to be run as administrator, which Adam is doing. You don't need to do it from VS Code. You can do it from any terminal. It is recommended that you do this from PowerShell 7 because PowerShell 7 is awesome. But it is backwards compatible with 5.1 if you have, for whatever reason, decide that you don't think PowerShell 7 is worth your time.
I don't think it's going to be one of those products that lasts for a long time.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it's a flash in the pan. It's not going to be around for long.
I've heard PowerShell 8 is like, next in line for sure.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we've installed the module. Happy days, we've imported it. So let's just have a look at what we've got available to us in the module. So there's a couple of things here.
That's not a lot of commands, Ben. Have you actually done any work?
No,
Jeez.
not that much. Not that much sleep either.
Did you see how many commands they had in the Autopilot one?
I did.
Sure, it's huge.
Yeah, we can't all be Niehaus. Some of us has got to live. All right, so most of these commandlets are really just to sort of set up your environment. The idea here is that you really only need to set them up once or twice, but it is worth sort of going through. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to initialize the environment with the Initialize-HVTools command.
Can I just copy it?
Sure.
You've seen me type.
I have seen you type.
Okay. And I like to
And
type
we've
it all
seen
up
your
here.
autocomplete skills.
Okay, so it's going to ask for a path. So this is where we want to actually store sort of. Yeah, you do need to type in a path. I don't know what you just did then.
I quit. I'm gonna do it up here.
Yeah.
I was trying to exit with no. I tried everything.
Control C.
Apparently, I did Control V instead of Control C.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Finn, I'm trying to do this as the normal user would do, and then tell you why you did it wrong.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay. This is the path that I want, though.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Okay,
If you learn how to type, it'd probably solve a few problems.
Okay. That's it, right?
So, that's all we need to do. We're going to press enter on that one, or whatever. So we can see it's done a couple of things down here. It's created, it's pretty much just creating some folders and a JSON file. This is sort of where everything's going to be. Now, it's recommended that you do this on a machine with a lot of storage because every virtual machine at the moment is just its own VHDX. And depending on how large that is, it's going to start filling up, as we can see here. At a later date, I am going to add the option to do diff disks, but with a big caveat that if you're using diff disks, it's recommended to not use this for production. Something that Steve pointed out, diff disks are good while you're sort of doing things that only you are going to look after and that you know how everything's set up. But if you then have to hand it off to people and things start getting moved around, it's going to get weird. So we haven't got diff disks in yet, but just understand that this is going to start filling up your hard drives very quickly.
So the difference in disks, the advantage is going to be you don't have to have multiple copies of the base OS.
Yeah.
Disadvantages are if you need to update that base image for whatever reason, then you're going to end up in a situation where you end up complicating it. So it's for transient VMs is what you'd be looking at in this scenario.
Exactly. Okay. So now that we've initialized our device or our environment, we need to add a couple more things to it.
Well, before you go on, sorry, just to point out. Yeah. So I'm in the folder that we specified. So
great.
You can see the stuff that got created. This is the base stuff that we've generated now.
Yeah. So if you have a look at line 3 and line 5 and 7, so these things are empty at the moment, right? What we're basically doing now is we're going to go in and we're going to start filling in that information. So that's the stuff that we need to actually provision HV or a virtual machine with this tool. So the first thing we'll do is the first commandlet, Add-ImageToConfig. And the image name. So what I recommend doing is just naming this the build or the release build number of Windows. It can be whatever you want. But it's,
I don't care.
Because Adam can't
That's
type.
good. That's it. ISOpath is obviously where you've downloaded.
Thank you for letting me off the hook there. Just type some numbers, Adam. All right.
This one has to be actually typed correctly, though, Adam.
It does.
So
now,
let's use the autocomplete.
I'm just browsing, and I can't even browse.
We're using the installation media that we've grabbed from MSDN. Probably, I hope.
You got so much.
Sweet. Just press enter on that bad boy. Or not enter, F8, whatever you're doing. Yeah, cool. So we can see it's added. Go back into that JSON file. And we can see it's there now. So you can add as many instances or as many images as you want. So if you're in an environment where a client has turned around and said, we only want 1803 or we only want 19 or whatever, you can apply or add as many images to your environment as you want. And then you can apply that image to your client, which is the good thing. But generally, you'll just be using the latest one. So that's what we're going to do. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our network. So Add-NetworkToConfig. So vSwitch name. Now we're doing this in admin, so it should autocomplete. If you press tab, it's not going to do it in VS Code. Oh, wait. What was that doing? It was saying loading.
It was trying to find it.
There we go.
Control space.
Sweet. Okay, so if you're
to start for you.
If you're in terminal or in just the straight PowerShell 7, this will autocomplete, and this provides you all of the switches that you currently have configured in your Hyper-V environment. This does not create new ones for you. So this is understanding that you already have V switches that you want to use. There's another flag for VLAN ID. If you have VLAN IDs that you need to use, most of the time you shouldn't. So we'll just press enter on that, or F8. And then finally, we should be able to add the tenant to config.
Oh, it doesn't have any. There we go.
Should do. Image name. This will autocomplete against the images that are available to you. So 2004. Tenant name. We'll just put in what we
No
want.
autocomplete.
But there's nothing there to autocomplete.
Come on, Ben. I'd expect more from you.
Actually, I'm going to do I.T because that's
Yep.
my naming convention.
Perfect.
That's it?
No. Let's keep going.
Admin
UPN. So use the account that we're going to be using to enroll a device. There's obvious.
Intune.training.
Yep. Can you put some quotes around that? It's kind of stressing me out that the coloring is not right.
Around the whole string, Adam. Around the whole
Thank you
string.
very much. Yeah.
Yeah, where do you want me to put those quotes?
Oh my God, not there.
You be more descriptive here.
Yeah, sweet. Okay.
Ben, look, I know that you're a smart man, but you should try to teach someone to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich who's never made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then just go through that process.
Listen, I've for 2 years I perfected the art of explaining where the desktop was to seniors on dial-up internet. I'm just slowly losing that skill. All right, there's a couple of other things we need to add to this.
Can I run that?
Nope. You want to add more things?
There's no more things to run.
Really?
Yeah, there's no more things.
All right, sweet. Yeah, cool. That's fine.
I mean,
Come on. I thought you wrote this thing, Ben.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. That's fine. Just run it and then get rid of that. Get rid of that. Oh, thank you.
Have it.
Yeah, sweet.
See? Add tenant to config.
That's great. Okay.
Now, I guess we should point out that the tenant name here really is just whatever the heck you're going to call.
Yeah.
Presentation.
Yeah, none of that matters. This is where it's going to matter.
That is correct. So that's all good. We've basically now set ourselves up with one client or one tenant that we want to build our virtual machines with. Obviously, if you have more clients, that's where you continue. You do another add tenant to config, choose your image name, tenant name, all that sort of stuff. So you can have as many clients as you need to maintain or look after. In my case, I have 10 or so, so I can sort of do that. But once we've got all that set up, we can then use that last commandlet, which is New-ClientVM. Tenant name should autocomplete. Number of VMs, how many virtual machines do you want to do? Yeah.
You see how quickly I can fill up this hard drive.
CPUs per VM. VM memory is in gigabytes, so just type in, say, like 2 GB, 4 GB. Yep.
So for those playing at home, the GB will auto-populate it to the number or the parameter. So if you type 4 GB down in the terminal down the bottom, Adam.
Yeah, this is a special thing.
And if you do 4 TB, just as an example, you can see it just automatically populate that there. So when you're writing scripts, you don't have to sit there and do the whole string.
4 PB, petabytes, wow.
Try 4 EB.
Is that exabytes?
Yeah. Oh,
that's not available.
Maybe XB?
XB. Nope.
Nah, they haven't put it in there.
Let's keep going through the alphabet, though. This is a fun game. BB, CB. Tell me when to stop.
Stop now.
I'm not going to tell you when to stop because it's still entertaining for me.
It is. All right. Let's see what else we got.
Ben hates us so much.
Only a little bit. It's fine. Now, this skip autopilot one was actually added on behalf of our good friend Bruce, who wants to use this but doesn't want to do it for autopilot for whatever reason.
Well, no. Is it okay? We think we discovered that and I can't remember this, but basically, if you use the JSON file, the something about the device didn't get policies that were part of the profile or something, and so he felt like
because his
using the
environment wasn't
JSON
set up
file
correctly.
didn't give the same results as doing a fully enrolled device.
Sure.
Do you remember?
Okay, so yeah, I do tend to. So anyway, by default, it's going to grab the Autopilot offline JSON file for us. But if for whatever reason you wanted to skip that, you can skip it with that flag. So this is the command we're going to run. Okay, so the first time you run this, it's going to do exactly what it's telling us, and it's actually going to create a reference VHDX file from the installation media or the image that we've configured here.
Maybe you should look at the dash verbose, and then we would have seen everything.
No, it's fine. We're going to get quite a bit of interactivity with this. So we should sort of see what's going on. It's going to mount a bunch of things. It's going to run. This is using all the default Hyper-V DISM commands to do this.
So you can see that it has mounted the Windows image for us here.
Yep, and
the ISO.
The F drive is the VHDX that we've created for the reference disk as well. So that's going to start filling that up with the ISO.
Oops. My mouse snap is every time I try to move across the screens.
Yeah, that'll do it. It shouldn't take too long. It shouldn't take too long, but it can depending on.
Okay, so to kind of reiterate what is happening is we're mounting an ISO and we are converting it to a VHDX, which is the hard drive for Hyper-V, and then injecting the JSON file into that VM so that when it spins up, we're creating the reference image, inserting the JSON, and then we're creating one VM.
That's correct.
So then after moving forward, you can just say create the VM, and it will use the reference image that we already created. So future versions of this are simply just going to copy that reference image and use it to create a new VM. So it should be a lot faster.
That's
so
right.
Right now,
if you go back into your lab and then into that folder, and tenant VMs, you should see. So we've got ASD Lab, Intune.HV. So there's nothing there at the moment, but that's where, so you can see we've got the reference image that's being created. So if you have multiple clients or multiple tenants added to this solution, it's going to create multiple folders, and all of the images and the VHDX images are going to be in their own folders. So it's fully contained, and you should be able to sort of mix up your client environments.
Yeah. So like you can see, I've done a bunch of the same things here, and so.
Yep.
Essentially, each time I do it, I can just go and grab. Now, I haven't used the module for this, but this was early iterations of it. So I just simply keep a folder of provisioned disks and just grab the one I want, make a copy of this. So if I just do it manually, I mean, and you could. Why would you? But you could. You could go into the GUI and just do a new virtual machine and walk through the process, and then you would just build the machine, don't attach a hard drive to it,
and just mount it from there.
And then later go back in and add wherever that one got provisioned to, go grab a copy of your VM or your VHDX that you want, and I have no idea where it's stuck in here. So you just drop it here, and then go attach it to your new VM that you created.
Yeah,
like this. So this is what is being automated, is the point. And I'm gonna run out of space on that.
I hope so.
Every time you copy an 8 gig file, I'm like, this is it.
Yes.
This is the moment.
Yeah, that's the one. So essentially, this is what you end up with: is you get to start a VM from the provision VHDX file, and you don't have to sit there and spin up Windows. So I shortcutted what the script is ultimately going to end up completing for us. By doing those steps there.
Yeah. Guys, you alluded to you alluded to the fact that we're using a different module at this point. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, totally. So one of the problems that we had, and one of the problems that I've had it, Steve's had it, and Adam's had it, is that the native convert image module that is maintained by Microsoft has got a lot of changes that have been like pull requests that have been approved and merged into the repository. The problem is that the actual media has not been published to the gallery in a couple of years. So what Adam and myself did was we just got the latest version of the convert. Is it just convert image?
Convert-Windows image, yeah.
Convert-Windows image. So we just got the latest release from the GitHub repository, forked it, made our own version, didn't change any code at all, and we just published it. So this can be used if anyone relies on this convert Windows image, which I know is a lot, instead of sort of whinging that it hasn't been updated, which I guess we probably should continue to whinge until it gets fixed. But we've got to work around until that happens. So
yeah. So this is where this is the one that's in the gallery. So if you do install a module, this is what you're getting, and it was last updated in 2016. But if you go to the project site, which is where we forked ours from, you can see, this is how old a lot of this stuff is. So, we've each made commits to this, and they've made it here, but then they just have never made it into the gallery version of it. So we just forked this into the version that we used here. I think I actually started the fork, and then somehow we did magic with it. Anyway. So this is where we're managing the repository for it and everything. And so we want to continue to import any changes that folks are making to the main repo, but essentially we just want to ensure that there's a downloadable version of it that you can install wherever you're at, and specifically use it for automation in a way that makes sense.
Exactly. And I mean, the key thing here is that we've got DevOps pipelines that automate the process of publishing this to the gallery. The obvious takeaway here is that they simply just don't have that for that module. So, hey, if they want some help and it's open source, I'm more than happy to do that for them.
I think the best part about this is that they dumped it into the Microsoft Docs.
Yeah.
It's a module that's sitting in the docs. And
it's such an important tool as well. Yeah, it's kind of frustrating how little love this has been getting, and because it has been constantly updated, it just hasn't been updated in the gallery for years. So
and you think of any of the other folks that are doing these hydration. So I mean, I think that Johan and Michael Nystrom, I believe I've seen some of their code. I've seen some of this in theirs where they're using the convert image Windows image or some version of it. Hey, let's stop here for a minute.
Okay. So the reference image has been created. What we're doing now is we're grabbing that Autopilot offline JSON file that we've spoken about a couple of times. Did you just skip that?
I just hit OK because it already had my credentials.
Oh, sure. Okay.
So it was just prompting me for my tenant credentials. If they weren't already there, you would have just typed them in.
Okay.
And because it does not exist.
Oh, because it bombed out. You see the second line there. It's saying that it grabbing Autopilot config, no Autopilot policies found.
We have multiple Autopilot policies. Do you handle multiple policies?
I should have. I should have come up with an out grid view. But if it doesn't, I'll make a change and I'll publish it up. But anyway, so the script itself hasn't failed. It's just simply, so that error is
just don't have a JSON file.
Yeah, it just tried to copy that file. So if you go to your HV environment,
this is why we didn't do this in advance. We wanted to stump you.
That's pretty cool. Can you go back to VS Code and go into tenant VMs, the folder over in the yeah. So you're looking at a different location. So the VH.
Well, this is the location that I specified.
No.
That is. I mean, look. This is.
So that's cool.
Labs Intune.training.
Right click on that IT folder in VS Code.
See, this is where we're supposed to be. Labs Intune.training Intune.HV.Tools, this is
There it is.
where,
Yep.
so it's created it in 2 places.
Oh,
this is an old one. No, sorry,
it's an
this
old
is an
one.
old one. That's I told you I had a potentially
Yeah.
had an old copy, so that's why.
Cool.
Let's delete that guy. All right.
Sweet.
Yeah, so this is where we're supposed to be looking.
Awesome. Okay, so for whatever reason, it hasn't pulled down that Autopilot config file, but I can fix that, or we can troubleshoot it later. But the reference image has been created, and then
can we walk through getting that JSON file ourselves? Since we've done all the other bits and all we need is a JSON file.
Yep.
How do we fix that?
Yeah, sure. So on your machine, I guess we can just use the command, the module, right? Connect MS Graph. Yeah. You might already have. Oh, it's not going to work in Power. Okay, this is actually an important one. Just to show you, there's a couple of weird little gotchas with PowerShell 7. What module does Connect MS Graph live in? Just do get command, and then Connect MS Graph. All right, so that's part of the Microsoft.Graph.Intune. So grab that file, and we're going to go import module. And then, no, close. Do that again, and then we're going to put in -use Windows, and then just autocomplete. So this is using Windows PowerShell. I can't actually see it. There's a thing in front of me. So what we're actually doing here is that so the Microsoft.Graph.Intune module is using the, for lack of a better term, the old ADAL libraries. Don't worry about this. This is hilariously normal. So the ADAL libraries don't natively work in PowerShell 7 because PowerShell 7 is supposed to be cross-platform and it's agnostic to Microsoft things. So to use it, we actually need to launch it in a compatibility version of Windows PowerShell. So now that we've launched it, we should be able to run that Connect MS Graph. What it's actually doing is it's creating a.
Oh, that's what happened. I chose the wrong tenant. It was my bad. I totally screwed that up. Okay.
Well, do you want to delete the VHDX and we'll just start again? Because it should be super fast.
For the new VM, or for which VHDX, the reference one or the?
No, not the reference one. We just need to delete the machine that we built.
Mm-hmm. Oh, because it'll okay, yeah, you're right.
It'll just do it all again, yeah. So just delete that.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yep. Kill that. And then just in your HV environment, just delete that as well.
Didn't create it, did it? Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
IT_IT. Yep. Turn off.
So, okay. So first, let's. I think we should finish out the manual. Let's do it manual thing.
Oh, sure.
Just
okay.
Close that loop, and then we'll redo it.
Okay. So just to clarify, we've needed to load this module in using the compatibility flag in PowerShell 7. So we've done that. That's all good. You might not need to do that one. That should be part of. Oh, just do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go. Oh, what's the command?
We just had it. Hold on. We just had it on the webpage. Let's just go get it again.
Yep.
The Windows Autopilot for existing devices. It's an easy one to get to, and then we can just follow these steps, which is what we're doing, and then this one. Get Autopilot out file.
Yeah.
It's going to dump it in a weird location if we leave it like that.
G. C drive autopilot config.
Yeah, that's
just fine.
Yeah. Okay,
you need to do -force so it actually creates the autopilot folder.
It might not have the ability to create the folder structure.
Yeah, that's why I was dumping the C.
Yeah, just dump it to the root of C. It's fine for now.
Let's see if Stephen was right. He wasn't.
Ooh. Stephen was not right.
I can't believe you just said that in public.
I can.
Okay, so I'm sticking on my lab drive.
Sweet. And we should see Autopilot config file.
And we have our file. Okay, so if we take that and we dump it over into our labs.
Yeah, but you deleted the folder.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we deleted the whole thing, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so this is where we...
No, we didn't, because the VM
I deleted the VM, but...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The VM was still running, so it didn't delete.
Well, no, that's okay. This is actually a really interesting thing. So go into your IT thing, delete this VHDX. If you've turned it, did you? Yeah, and then paste that file in there.
In the folder?
Yep, in here. I'll just show you. I'll show you a little thing. Okay, so we've done that. Did you delete the virtual machine from Hyper-V?
It won't have been deleted yet.
Just go.
I deleted it.
I thought you just turned it off.
I did.
I just thought.
No, I deleted it. I did both.
Okay.
It's gone.
Sweet. Okay, so let's just go back to VS Code then, and let's go through the process of creating that virtual machine again. We don't need to. Don't delete that one because that's our reference.
Well, wait, okay, so hold on. But the thing I was going to show is that you could mount this, and you could copy this file in directly if you wanted to.
100%. This
is kind of where I was headed. Just showing that if you have a VHDX file, you can go into provisioning, go into Autopilot, and you can dump the file directly in here. You don't want to do that as part of his, the automated process here, but just wanted to illustrate. That's what the script is really doing.
Correct. So the reason that we're not doing that in this scenario is that reference image can be now used for multiple clients. So we don't want to put one Autopilot enrollment JSON in for all of our clients because that's obviously not going to work. So that's why it gets stored in the client folder, but the reference image is but the reference image is agnostic to your client. Okay, cool. So we'll do that again.
Okay. So we already have the Autopilot config file because we had it in that location already.
And this is the benefit here. So it's not going to ask you to log back in this scenario. So it's not going to go through and ask you to authenticate to grab the config file because it's already there. And that's it, right? So we've now created that virtual machine. We can go in and have a look at it in Hyper-V.
There it is, spinning up already.
Sweet. And I guess sort of one question that I've had a couple of times is like, why spend the time to write the significant amount of code to get to this point when I can just manually do it myself? I can click on the thing, I can create the machine, and I can attach the files. And the point here is that we can now do this at scale. So if you had an environment that wasn't rapidly about to run out of hard drive space, you could go, okay, I'm gonna provision 20 machines for this client, and then I'm gonna go get lunch, and I'll come back, and they're all gonna be sitting there saying welcome to client X, and then you put your credentials in, and you can prove to someone that the thing that you just spent a day setting up works.
Like this one.
Yeah, like that one. So this is something that I use on a daily basis, and I know that Steve used to use a different version of this because I've been working on this for a very long time. I know Steve's been working on a different version. This is kind of the culmination of a bunch of us working on things to automate our processes, and then we sort of sat down and realized what are the common themes. What can we all pull together to make something that everyone else can use? And it's already out there. It's in use, and people are using it right now. So it's ready for prime time.
The thing that I think is kind of the telling bit here is that if you watched our revisit of Autopilot video that we just filmed, you saw us struggling, all of us struggling to figure out what the right commands were to upload a hardware hash for Autopilot and things like that. One of the reasons for that is because we've already written that once, and we don't type it regularly. We already have them embedded into other things, and it's just not part of what we do generally because we're automating these processes and stuff. So we do know how to do the things. We just don't know the commands for them generally because we don't need to remember them.
Yeah, exactly. The point, yeah. I mean, the point of the whole point of automation is that once you have a fairly strong grasp on the processes, you don't need to know how to do them if you can automate them. So it saves some brain power.
Yep.
This shouldn't take much longer. It's just going to go through the Ubi process, depending on what
we've gone this far. We might as well just finish it and log in, right?
So one thing that's going to be interesting is because we're doing the offline join, the device will not be in that group. So it's not going to get. Oh, it might depending on what Autopilot.
It depends on how quickly it makes it into that group. Okay, so this goes back to the thing that Bruce was. This was what his issue was. So you have groups in Intune where you've got devices assigned. They're in the group, and you've got policies and things assigned to them. And if the device is not in the group during Autopilot, it's not going to get the policies that are assigned. Yeah. So it's going to skip some of the things.
Exactly.
And so if you're trying to test out machine-based policies, using this JSON file might not be their best move because you might miss some of those things.
But I think that was the key. So the key thing that I've sort of said to a couple of people about this when they say, oh, this isn't great because it's not you're gonna move faster than the dynamic groups are gonna move. It kind of doesn't matter because it will catch up eventually. So if you miss some of the device policies because it was reliant on that dynamic group, it is going to join that group, and those policies will exist eventually. And that's sort of a common thing that a common refrain that I'm saying to clients and people I work with in general is that it doesn't matter whether it's perfect immediately, as long as you have trust that the policies and the configuration items that you've set up will work, they will show up eventually.
Here's an interesting bit. The JSON file that we uploaded, I did not. We had multiple profiles.
That will cause issues.
So we dumped one with multiple profiles because I'm looking at it saying, why am I seeing this screen?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Well, actually, you know what you can do from this environment, Shift F10.
Yeah, we should just be able to edit the file directly.
Well, right? I just want to look at it. So go into PowerShell.
Or even just Notepad. You don't need to go PowerShell.
No, I'm going to do get content.
Okay, do get content.
Come on, man.
But then to modify it, you're going to have to then do something.
Yeah, we're not going to modify it.
Okay, I'll just say that you know that you're asking me to type more.
Yes, I do. Provisioning, Autopilot. Should only be one file there. Yep, and have a look at that. There we go. So we can see multiple policies. So it's basically, yeah.
So Adam, if you do then Notepad up arrow and then Notepad in front of it.
Yeah. Now we can fix it, and then we reboot and try again.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which one are we looking at?
Middle one.
The middle one. I'm trying to find the name, and my brain is not finding it. There it is. Okay. So if you watched our previous video, this is the new profile that we created, and one of the things that we added in that one was for it to skip the keyboard layout.
Note down the bottom just to call it out. It's saying it's UTF-8, but it's actually ASCII.
Yeah, that's it. It's just a little quirk in Notepad.
All right, so now let's restart the box.
There.
Yep.
How do I restart, guys?
Shift F10.
Shutdown -R.
Dash R.
-T.
Dash R, dash T, 00. Enter. All right, so now just quickly, if you go, can you do the same thing for the Autopilot config file in the lab folder?
Yeah.
Yep, that one there. Yeah, so just select one.
Yeah, so this was a product of us doing it manually. It would not have, hopefully your process would have picked that up and
yeah, so if you followed through the process and you logged in using the correct credentials, what's gonna happen is it's gonna open up Outgrid View, and it's gonna present you with a list of the policies or the Autopilot policies that you want to that are available to you, and you select the one that you want.
So That's a thing.
So select US. And
Yeah, but I'm saying that it's not.
It might be because it's not in that group yet. There's a very high chance that won't work, but we'll just see.
Those two settings don't always work.
Well, no.
You
So
did
what
get
I
prompted
think
for the keyboard there.
What I think is part of the deal is that well, either those settings aren't in the JSON when it comes down.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's not part of what it knows about.
Potentially,
because it's only sending
right.
it limited information. It's not sending the whole everything.
Yeah.
So that could be part of it. Or
no, it's got language EN+US.
Yeah, but it set the keyboard, but it didn't set the
Oh,
the first
okay.
part.
There you go. So it did work. It's just not pulling down the whole
so you
thing.
can get the language bit.
Yeah, sweet.
Okay.
So this is one of the unintended consequences of trying to sort of
Unexpected for unattended.
yeah, it's a feature. Let's call it a feature.
Yeah. Neat stuff. But yeah, so ultimately, if you end up using this, and you like kind of back to the policies thing. So if you've got devices that are assigned, or you've got policies that are assigned to a device, and you're trying to test that stuff out, you may need to go ahead and upload the hardware hash.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it may basically the thing that I was saying is that it may not apply at ESP, but it will apply.
Yes.
The point.
But if you're trying to demonstrate here's how long it's going to take, or test the full end-to-end process, that's one of the side effects that we're seeing there. Is just that yes, you will eventually get them, but this might not represent the user experience.
Exactly. And the reason that is that because we're moving faster than the dynamic groups and the whole hardware hash sync is moving. So, we're faster than the actual production environment. But that's the point of doing this, is rapid development and deployment,
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
It's been a long day.
King of the Hill. You guys are doing the aliens from Sesame Street. I love those guys. Favorite. Well, here we go. We're just watching it. Okay, so let's just flip back to we got the module situation here. So if you want to use this, it's just out on, we'll put the link below as well, but it's just out on PowerShell Gallery, Hyper-ConvertImage, install module, name Hyper-ConvertImage. And if you want to file a bug, because Ben loves them, you can come here and you can file issues, or you can help us update the code, add things to it that you want.
So just to clarify here
as well,
that this isn't the module that we're talking about. This is one of the modules that we're using, but not the module. It should be.
Oh, sorry, that's Hyper-Convert. That's the wrong one. Go back here to your. My bad.
I was gonna say the important thing is Ben loves issues.
I do. I really do.
He's more than happy to help you with any problem you have setting this up and getting it working on your environment.
Steve's being hilarious, but I'm actually he's not wrong. If you raise an issue with the code and you provide reproduction steps in that code, I will spend time and I will identify what's going on and I will let you know what's happening. I'm 100% interested in providing additional features if you deem it necessary, and I see some value in that as well. It's also completely open source, so if you see something that's not working for you and you think that you can improve on this, fork the code, make the changes, and push it back. I'm rapidly working on this, but at the moment, for me, this works 100% of the time for the scenarios that I have. I'm sure that other people will find scenarios that they can improve on.
The shortened way for him to say that is, it works on my computer.
Yeah.
It works on
Ben is a true
multiple
developer.
Computers.
Yeah. But all of them are yours. Yeah.
Sure.
You can just do what I do and just go into the code and just add a bunch of pseudocode that sort of gets you close to what you think it should look like. And then Ben will just take over and say, well, your code's awful anyway, and then fix it. So
I'm glad that he does it to you guys as well.
I do it to
Wait, I've never actually done that. I just assumed that's the way.
So
you
see
did
how
it.
the device setup went through really quickly? That's what we were talking about. So device prep was fine, but the device setup, if you had policies that were tagged to dynamic groups or whatever, and it wasn't added to that, then it skipped them. They will apply eventually, but they're not going to apply at the ESP stage.
Yep.
So-
Now, Ben, let me ask you this question. So we are focusing on building out our Windows 10 boxes for Autopilot.
Yep.
But it sure seems to me that these modules, the Hyper-ConvertImage and the Intune.HV.Tools, could possibly be used to just generate a server VHDX.
Yeah, 100%. If you've got the only caveat there is that you'd need to make sure that you skip the autopilot process, because you can't join a server to Intune.
Oh, you know what? I think the other thing that's going to kill us is the, which you're already working on, is being able to select the index out of the ISO.
Okay.
Because
So
right
that's
now
actually,
it's pulling the enterprise.
That's a fair thing to point out. So at the moment, it's working on the concept that we're using an ISO that it was captured from the My Visual Studio or the MSDN library, and I'm just using either Pro or Enterprise index from that ISO. I have 90% of the code to allow us to choose which image index from that internal WIM file. So hopefully by the time that this goes live, that will be available, and we'll put notes and stuff in the video to let you know that that's happening. But yeah, so at the moment it's just using one reference index image from the ISO, but moving forward I will allow the ability to choose that when you create the reference image.
Yeah, and if you wanted to do it manually today, you could use the convert hyper image, and that already, I mean, you can just run the command line manually to do that. But if you wanted to do it with this fully automated method, you could do that. And the whole thing there is you can use that to spin up a lab environment with servers and things on-prem if you weren't trying to do something specific with Intune.
Exactly. The main thing to think, or just to mention, if you did want to create the reference image yourself, you just need to make sure that it follows the correct naming conventions. So like if you create it yourself and you go into that folder, just make sure that so it's WKS 2004 ref.vhdx. So it's just, that's sort of the naming convention of it's always going to be WKS because it's a workstation reference image, and 2004 is the name of the image that we generated from our initial configuration of the environment. There is another commandlet in it while we're waiting for this that I use for my own sort of benefit, and it is Get-HVToolConfig. And if you just, HVToolConfig and just press enter, it actually pulls all the config out. Whether you want to use that, I don't know why you would want to use that, but you can have a look at your config file.
It's so you can export it to a JSON and take it to another computer.
Yeah.
If you don't know where your config file is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, I think we've proven out the technology. It's working. The rest of this is on autopilot, literally, and it's gonna finish and do its thing. Exactly. So I think we've between the last video and this one, I think we've kind of closed some gaps around autopilot and really, I mean, you said it a couple of times, the scale, preparing your methodology, your work process to be scalable, to be able to actually build things very quickly, rapidly, so that you're not sitting there manually going through and clicking through that wizard or having to. I mean, part of this is, these scripts are all built. I mean, we all were building. There was 4 of us all building scripts to do these things, and there are many, many other people. I mean, as part of this process, we ran into a couple of other folks that had some code, and we said, hey, well, we know you're headed here, so you want to just jump in with this because this is where you're good. This is what you're going to build next. We know it. We've already been down this path. Let's help.
Yep.
Exactly.
And so we're helping shortcut because, honestly, if people are going to be spending the time building things that they're going to share with the community, well, let's make sure that we're all working on new and different, and not necessarily, building the same stuff. I mean,
yeah, we shouldn't
it's fine to have your own tools and to use it as ways to learn and all that sort of stuff. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it because someone else already did it. Like, there's a whole bunch and you can improve on it. But if you're just doing this to get, as a means to an end, man, look to the community, and because there's tons of people out there that have some great ideas and great code that you can just take and use.
Exactly. I think sort of the key thing here is that if we cast our eyes back a couple of years, one of the common things was that everyone was getting excited about using Graph, and everyone had their own little functions and tools to authenticate to Graph, and everyone was very excited about their way to authenticate to Graph, which is awesome because it teaches IT pros sort of that dev way of doing OAuth, and that's a really good way to learn authentication and how to work with APIs. The thing that I was getting sort of frustrated with was that at a certain point, you know how to authenticate to OAuth. You don't need to create another tool. There's already hundreds of them. There's already, there's a million different ways to do this. You don't need to invent it yourself. You can, and it's a good way to learn if you're still at that point, but it's not a bragging rights anymore that I have a way to authenticate to Graph. Very much with the HV tools that we're talking about now, all of us were sort of working on our own variant of this, and it just got to the point where I was like, we should all just get together and pool all of our resources so that we can create a central thing that is better than the sum of its parts. And I think that what we've created here is.
Definitely.
I hope so. And really, if you've got something better, share it, because
exactly.
I mean, come on. We don't want to keep
sharing.
If there's a better way to do it, like, come on, let's do some cooler stuff.
The point that it's up on GitHub is that if you have been working on something that is similar to this, and you can see some sort of you can see a couple of streams crossing here, but yours is just a little bit better, or you have a feature that you think could really be better than mine or better than ours, add it. Make your thing. Make our thing better, or don't, and just brag about your one. It's that's the whole point of open source.
I think that I mentioned this before, but in the previous video, but I'm not sure in one of our other ones we discussed this. But this is very much what I do anymore. If I find myself in the middle of using a piece of code, especially a commandlet that's already built in, but I will come into GitHub, because Google doesn't do a great job of getting you this level of detail, but GitHub search is amazing. So I will just come here and I'll search by the command name or something, and I will find all the places where someone is using that, and I will start digging through and seeing, is there something that I can borrow from this? Has someone else already taken this and done something great with it? And then just start from there. Or even as a great way to, like, okay, so we mentioned earlier, you can just run this manually. Well, here you go. Don't have to even go invent figure out what the right command lines are. Go look at this guy's thing, and look, he's using it. Go, what are his commands? Go borrow this. That kind of thing. And this accelerates your ability to get to your end goal without sitting here, just spinning your wheels trying to learn how to do a thing that 80 other people have already done before. I mean, so there's a balance there for sure. Learn and use it to learn. And look, go steal from Steven. He's already got it here. New lab VHDX. See, this is his thing. Maybe you should demo this someday, Steven.
And I think, like, even the workstation
config manager.
Yeah, but
no.
This module was built on the sort of the legs of what Steve was doing with the lab thing. We realized that there was a way that we could rapidly build out devices. We didn't need to build a lab or anything, but we could reuse the code that Steve had already written to do another scenario.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, I agree. Look, here we are. We're done. Ask her for a pen.
Have you stopped sharing your screen?
He has stopped sharing his screen.
Yeah, sweet.
I did, because you were talking and I wanted your face to be large on the screen.
Oh, excellent. That's great.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
it's small. See, it's right here. I don't know why it's hung up there. It's waiting. Anyway, we don't need to wait for it to finish. You guys have hopefully seen a completion.
Autopilot is autopilot. Exactly.
That's right.
Awesome.
This was fantastic. Look, you guys switched places now. It's awesome.
It's because Ben's talking more.
We've been on this for 4 hours now trying to do stuff. So, well done. Thank you, guys. We will catch you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, hey, Steve, what have you been doing over there, man? What you working on? I mean, welcome to the party. Where you been?
I've been talking.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as much because Ben's covering this well.
Yeah. Because Ben's here talking nonsense.
Yes.
All right.
The recording and I'll tell you what I was doing.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.